how do you think the role of HR has evolved from being perhaps enabler to maybe becoming a strategic partner that drives business performance and culture?
From people function per se has moved from administrative or employee relation function to really a boardroom conversation. It is, as you said, a strategic business partner, I would say. So people are the center and are the key differentiation for you, who is to drive the transformation within the organization, drive that culture building in the organization, drive that capability building in the organization. All these key areas, the transformation, the culture building, and the capability building, has become the core strategic function for any organization.
Welcome to Discover Dialogues podcast, powered by TechDogs. The world of business and technology is evolving at breakneck speed. AI breakthroughs, digital transformation, and game-changing innovations are reshaping industries every day. On this show, we dive into the trends, ideas, and strategies driving the future. We're sitting down with industry leaders, innovators, and disruptors to bring you fresh insights, bold perspectives, and real conversations that matter. So plug in, tune in, and let's discover what's next.
Today on the show, we're joined by Sachin Khurana, Chief People Officer and Senior Vice President, People Practice at Happiest Minds Technologies. With experience spanning IT services, infrastructure, real estate, and technology-led organizations, Sachin has seen the people function evolve across multiple business contexts, from building culture in high-growth environments to shaping leadership and capability at scale. He brings a grounded perspective on modern people leadership. In this episode, Sachin shares how culture, leadership, self-awareness, and people practices directly shape business outcomes in a fast-changing world. Let's dive in. Welcome to another episode of TechDogs Discover Dialogues, Sachin. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Hey, looking forward for an interesting conversation.
Sachin, I am genuinely excited about this conversation today because we are going to get to explore the evolution of people and leadership with someone who's kind of lived through many versions of it. Your journey's been unique, to say the least, to be honest. I mean, you were in IT, you were in infrastructure, I think at some point real estate and consulting as well. And that kind of cross-industry exposure gives you a very different understanding of how people behave, how cultures evolve and how leadership shifts with an environment. And before I kind of get into, AI, then of course, employee experience and the future of HR, I want to kind of start off with your story. So let's begin at the start. You have an origin story. Would love for you to walk us through your journey and how it shaped your path to becoming the Chief People Officer at Happiest Minds today.
So, Vikram, we were talking earlier as well that I'm not in HR by choice. Maybe if would have been given a choice, I would be at your seat. But given that I'm in HR, I did my master's in human resource from Delhi School of Economics, Department of Commerce, and got placed with Citigroup Global Services. That was my first job. And that's where I got an experience on ITS industry. Spent some time, worked in the talent acquisition space, moved into Lodha's. Lodha Group is the biggest real estate company in India, and people in Mumbai nearby definitely know them. And I spent a good 5 years with them. A thrilling and, from an experience perspective, very contrasting experience from, Citigroup Global Services, an MNC Citigroup company, to a Lodha Group led by Mangal Prabhat Lodha and Abhishek. It was a fantastic experience. That was my, stint with the real estate and infra business. Then I moved to OSS Cube. And what happened was during my graduation, post-graduation, I was not somebody who used to spend time in classes. I used to be more seen outside the classes. So I've done some 10 odd different projects, internship, wherever some work is there, whether it's in IT or technology or a marketing or a HR, I used to go and pick that. So I used to work with, some small companies during those post-graduation days. And then after 5-6 years, that small company became a decently sized startup, right? 200 odd people. And the founder, Vineet and Lavanya, said, they were in Mumbai and said, you want to look at this opportunity to lead the people function at OSS Cube. And I think that was a great opportunity. I couldn't say no. And I moved in to lead the people function for that startup. And I was about 6 years of experience total. And I was heading in HR and say marketing, communications at the time, and few more roles. And I think that was an amazing experience. Worked with OSS Cube and I spent some 5 6 years with them. Before I left OSS Cube or transitioned to Happiest Mind, OSS Cube was placed among the top 10 companies to work for in India. I think that was a great
Oh, nice.
accomplishment. Me and
Absolutely.
my founder Vineet had only one goal, that let's make create an organization where people wait to come on Monday, kind of stuff. I think that's
Nice.
something really really excited us, and we create something meaningful. Happiest Mind, because acquired versus Cube, and
Oh, okay.
so didn't change job, but it happened, right? And Moses were
Right.
acquired. I was in Noida that time, and I think with the conversation that are happening, Happiest Mind leadership, Ashok, the founder, and currently chairman and chief mentor of Happiest Minds, and the other leadership team felt that I could take up the chief people officer role at Happiest Minds. And I think I'm fortunate that I got that opportunity. And with Happiest Mind now for the last say 8 years, I think that's a little bit about my professional journey, Vikram.
So, like I said, it's IT, infrastructure, real estate, consulting. In your opinion, which was the most challenging environment for you in terms of people and the culture?
I think each organization, because they were at different phases, had its own set of
Hmm.
challenges, right? We talked about Citigroup. I spent a year's time. It was very, very mature from a process perspective. They were in the phase of transitioning to TCS. TCS was thinking of those conversations happening that TCS will acquire that business, and we had a huge organization, and a lot of decisions processes were already laid globally, and we were following that. So I think there was a different rhythm in Citigroup. But I personally liked the second experience, which was with Lodha's, where you're working with an Indian founded organization, and the way of looking at things is very different, and the speed, the agility, the outcome, you can't wait for bureaucracy to give you a yes or no on something. You have to do something, you have to get something, you have to get it tomorrow, right, kind of stuff. And at the same time having the sensibility, empathy, your relation to people is at a different level. It was a purpose driven organization, and people are always at the center. Where in large MNC organization, the relationship is a little different. I think that was beautiful, and I did accomplish a lot. Had some great team members and leaders that I worked with, and still in touch with them. I
Nice.
think OSS Cube as a starter was a completely new experience. I was heading the HR. I would say
True.
after Lodha, that become a better experience. And now when you're leading a company like Happiest Mind, which in its name itself talks about happiest people, happiest customer, I
Right.
think is a great experience of what we are accomplishing today and wanted to accomplish in this organization.
Yeah, I think your journey kind of really helps set the stage for the next part of our conversation, uh, because you know how you evolved in the last uh, couple of decades. If I was to say, HR has also evolved. You know, it's not what it was like 10 years ago, and perhaps you were in the middle of that evolution. Uh, I think the way I look at it, expectations have changed, workplaces have changed, uh, technology has redefined how people experience work. Then, you know, to add to all of that, there was COVID, and now there's AI. And in many ways, you had the front seat row to this transformation, to this evolution. From your vantage point, uh, how do you think the role of HR has evolved from being perhaps, you know, enabler, uh, to maybe becoming a strategic partner, that drives business performance and culture?
Yeah, sure. Vikram, beautiful question. I think maybe I'm fortunate I could see that during my journey, uh, and I think the way things are changing, the speed at which things are changing, it's very difficult to predict what would be in next few years. But what we have observed is, people function per se has moved from administrative or employee relation function to really a boardroom conversation. It is as you said, a strategic business partner, I would say. And what are the key charters of people? And we're saying, when you talk about AI and all that technological changes, in fact, at this point of time, the differentiation for any company is primarily people only. Because when I say, oh, what is the difference between two companies? It's the technology, and technology is nothing but innovation by human, right? So people are the center and are the key differentiation for you. And what the people function has to do, or what is the charter that they have to do, is to drive the transformation within the organization. Drive that
Right.
culture building in the organization, drive that capability building in the organization, because these are the one that helps you stay ahead of every change that is happening. It is helps you stay together when you're building a culture at a common purpose. I think that's just very, very important. And given the pace of change and the magnitude of change, what was relevant or core skill or key differentiation 2 years back, 1 year back, with a new AI coming in, those that not even a differentiation, that become a base skill. So with the people capability has to move up at a much, much faster pace. So I think you will realize that all these key areas, the transformation, the culture building, and the capability building, has become the core for strategic function for any organization. And we talk about people and people objective, succession, talent building as part of a boardroom conversation every quarter. So I think that's important. I think that's primarily how I see it, secure.
And talking about boardroom representation, I started my career, like I said earlier, in psychometric assessments, and I was fortunate enough to see some of it. But I think it still continues, right? That conversation. I think that conversation is about how can HR leaders strengthen their voice or have a position in the boardroom, and perhaps add more value than they can on what they're already adding. How do you think HR leaders can do that?
So, Vikram, I would say there's one step which is, very important, and which is generally not necessarily fully in the hand of the HR leader. It's primarily the board, or when it's a founder driven organization, it has to come from them first. That, for me, people intervention and people agenda is a priority. Then it will start reflecting into your board composition. That you have a finance expert, you have a security expert, you have a tech expert, and you have a people expert also in your board. I think that talks a lot. Once you have, so like in our board, we have an independent director, Anita, who's a veteran in the HR space. And once she's there, you're talking about everybody listening, and she's able to contribute at that level, and setting the right expectation from the organization. So it starts at that level. And that's also the responsibility of the chief people officer or the HR leader of the organization, to ensure that, when you get that support, and even if you don't get, you have to enable it, right? You make the most of it. You ensure that the conversation that you're doing at the board or at the leadership is not about, this is the engagement level, this is my attrition level, this is what you're talking about. How your people function is able to support business enablement. That means how we are able to grow an account, how, were they part of customer conversations, what they were able to enroll customer about why working with Happiest Mind is a better decision. Are you working with the teams to say, how can we have a more productive team, how we can increase the productivity, increase the margin for us, and how we can build better outcome for our customers by ensuring that people are aligned to the purpose of the customer. If you're talking about purpose of the organization, then only you can align people to the purpose of the customer. So when you're aligning them, they will start looking at them as an extended team of customers, and they'll start looking at problems that the customers may not even know, right? So it's
Right.
about what is a conversation that you're in. A very important conversation on change management. You have to ensure that while organization believe that we need to make a lot of changes in the organization because industry is changing, technology is changing, but how uh, correctly you're going through change management? What are the things that you have to be cognizant of? What are the composition of people, process, structure that are there that need to go through proper change management program, enrollment program? So I think when you start playing a role, saying how meaningful it is, and this is a direct link to your top line, bottom line, people start hearing. And I think it's just about that.
Got it. So I think it's more like speaking the language of the business. And I think the other thing that you also said is, and I'm just trying to summarize or perhaps build on it. I think it's also trying to connect people metrics to business outcomes, right? Like you said, how have the people that you've hired influenced a pipeline? Maybe how has your customer retention or customer satisfaction rate gone up because of the kind of talent that you've brought on board? Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think that's perhaps the step I think HR leaders now need to start taking. And we've seen quite a few already taking those, like you mentioned.
If I can, one more area, while we're thinking, you're saying that as the organization is growing, M&A become a very important charter for organization growth. And while there is a business fit when you're looking at acquisitions, mergers, I think you would have now you also been in the space of HR earlier, and the importance of you know people. People integration is the core, and we've said 9 out of 10 M&A fails. And, there's a logic to it, there's a fact to it, and that means the effort that need to go to ensure that the businesses integrate. It is first people integration, and I think that become one of the significant charter for say HR leaders across organizations. And because you acquire organization for capability, technology, for new markets, new areas, I think this area is a very very strategic area where people leader, HR leader has to play a pivotal role in that integration.
And I think the theme that I would like to take away from what you just said is that uh, it's about intentionally shaping a culture, uh, perhaps inside out. And that could be maybe, like you said, broader culture change initiatives, could be maybe perhaps employer branding initiatives or maybe recognition programs, uh, where I think you can actually go from intent to impact. uh, and you've been doing this quite a bit through your role, in your and through your experience. Okay, I want to now double click on that. uh, you know what are some of the strategies that in your opinion have been the most effective in aligning people with business objectives?
When the organizations are growing, there's a business priority. You talked a very important point about culture building. A lot of leadership changes happen. You bring in new people as both part of the M&A as well as organic hiring. People also keep on moving, ensuring
Right.
that when you have current people, new people coming in, that culture integration is the key. You can't have two people running into different direction, three people going with a different intention. In the world, they're saying, oh, we are in the common objective, but they're not aligning on the house side, right? So I think it is very important that you build a culture and continuously keep on strengthening it, and where people coming in, they can always add few elements, but the core of the culture remains intact. In that, your
Got it.
institutionalization of your cultural program plays a beautiful role. Something which is only in words may not help, or you have a mission, vision, value, and everybody has to go through an MVV program. It's a great, and I believe that's a great enabling program that we do. Every member in the organization at all level has to go through a 2-hour program around mission, vision, value. I'm fortunate that
Agree.
Ashok has identified only selected members who can take our mission vision program, and I'm one of those. So that's one. But What about the actions on a day-to-day basis? All our meetings, Vikram, in Happiest Mind, just give you an example how the culture building happens.
Right. Absolutely.
uh,
Absolutely. Yeah.
uh, all our meetings in the organization start with a note of gratitude. Is there a written rule about it? No. Is that if somebody misses, there's a penalty to it? No. It's a culture building. When you see our CEO, when you see Ashok, when you see Joseph, when you see our MD Venkat, and when they are into any meeting, they will start with a note of gratitude, and they will ask, "Is do anybody who else want to share their note?" They will share gratitude. People start sharing gratitude about their son, the family, or traffic was less. My kid completed his 12th and he got this marks, and we went out to play yesterday, and whatever.
Nice.
And people talk about how my team helped me in last week's project, or somebody was not there, somebody else helped him. Suddenly, the space that get created in that team is extraordinary.
Yeah, it is. I
Yeah.
mean, I can.
And just people see it every day, from the next meeting to the next meeting, the next meeting. I think that's where culture building happens. And when you say, and now we said, how do you align this initiatives to business goals? Now when you have created a, say, recognition program, you recognize the outcomes, which is business outcome, very well. Are you encouraging the behavior that you want to drive? So your recognition program should be inconsistent to the organization purpose, which is business goals. So that's rewarded. At the same time, the how, that means the values of the organization. There are people who consistently perform, like we have this um, team called Happy Squad. These are the team who keep on in creating, organizing events, sports, and all that stuff. Like, if something is happening, and it's not people function, HR function, it's about some people coming together, initiates, and they
Absolutely.
spend time on weekends, multiple days to make a successful event. Then do you recognize their efforts, which do not have a direct business metric, but takes up the engagement level of the organization and the members, their
Got
contribution
it.
improves. But now you're recognizing the values, the efforts,
Correct.
compensation, and how your incentive programs are built. Also have a direct link to the business outcome. Vikram. I think we have seen that years that if you have the right set of behavioral being encouraged through your incentive program, this is what one of the core strategies, I would say, and it's across the organizations. Whether you want to drive the top line, bottom line, but some of the things, okay, this is part of your role. There's no incentive to this. You have to deliver something which is expected of the role. So don't expect extra incentive because someone else is doing it, right? So I think that differentiating, I don't want to copy whatever everybody is doing. I want to create a structure, a program, initiative that is consistent to my values, my business objective, my people objective. I think take tough calls, take a call that you do yourself is very important. We have this program called, I'm just getting into, but I think this would be the last one. I give a leave donation program, Vikram. This is
Oh, okay.
into
That's a good one.
values, not many companies have. And I tell you, it took us what 9.5, 10 months to get this program off the table, because there are a lot of contractual compliances and strategy issues and people alignment, leadership, and all those things. And now this has been running for the last 2 years. And one of the most successful program, right, Vikram? If I am not keeping well, it's like one of the members, say, a software engineer, something happened, he's not able to come to office, and extended medical issues. We anyway support for 3 to 6 months. 3 6 months, the guy is getting salary. But what next? Okay. I say, okay, I will donate one leave. You know, my one leave, or some five people donating 1 2 3 leaves. This guy's 3 months salary
Makes
is
a lot of
taken care.
difference.
And
Yeah.
those kind of small things. It's real action. People see you rather than the words that is in, that is ensuring that you have people initiative which is consistent to both business outcome as well as the values that you strongly believe in.
And how do you measure something like this? Because I mean, what you've talked about is culture, and I would probably say, how do you measure? I think my question is going to be more on the lines of how do you measure, the real picture or the cultural health of an organization sitting at your place? Because all of these initiatives, obviously they add to all of it. But how do you measure something like this?
Vikram, I can give you metrics as well, Vikram, which is very, very clear metrics, and I will talk about that. But I tell you a few things that are not necessarily always add to the metrics, but have a huge impact. There is a alumni who leaves you. and say, yeah, I'm doing this job, but I'm still missing those days, right? But he got double the salary, right? He won't
Right.
come. It's okay. It's a personal choice. It's a personal priority, right?
Yeah.
So you respect him. But he tells you he sent you five more referrals. He's trying to talk to people who may be able to offer you, business for Happiest Minds. They are promoters. They are our ambassadors. And Vikram, I'm so proud that our alumni are a cohort of amazing ambassadors. And if you talk to any one of them, you will find that the way they speaks for the organization is extraordinary. I think those are things when people leave and still, and a lot of alumni come back. In fact, last week only two
Absolutely.
people joined in. It's good senior roles. They took a break and went somewhere, worked, and came back, and that's a metric. But that will only be
Absolutely.
what, say 150 people in a year or so. But it's about that 2,000 people or 1,000 people who've left, but are still an ambassador for Happiest Mind, goes a long way. Now, when you talk about internally, and that's reflect, how they would be the one who will buy stocks for the organization and say, I'm now your investor as well, because they believe in the organization. And obviously, you have metrics around alumni coming back. You have Glassdoor, you have ambition box, you have internal engagement scores, you have attrition numbers. You start seeing productivity per person, non-linear productivity growth in the organization. There are multiple measures. Succession pipeline. What is the percentage of people whom we have placed? We're talking about 60% of internal roles should be placed internally, Vikram, which is a huge goal for an organization like ours,
Right.
right? And we are measuring that. Oh, we are right 55 right now because one of the person we brought in from outside. Now we need to maintain that 60%. These are the
Right.
measures, which is a direct measure of saying, whatever efforts we are putting are giving us direct. We are in the top 10 100 companies to work for over the years. Last week we got a recognition from the SHRM, and SHRM, if people function. SHRM is the gold standard for us. Last week we got
Absolutely.
three awards, actually. One for us from SHRM, two from Avatar Shermont for our women diversity, and,
Nice.
for our learning and development initiative. So I think these are external validation, but you have internal measures to show, to be sure that you're doing whatever you're doing is at the right thing.
And to do, to get those recognitions, to measure, the quote unquote the cultural health of the organization, there have to be good leaders, and good leaders with good leadership skills. And most importantly, I think leadership that is valid today, because what the kind of leadership what was there 5 years ago and what is expected today is very different. Because in the last 5 years we went from remote work to hybrid work to AI driven work. And then the whole shifting expectations of, the Gen Z's joining the workforce, and perhaps changing definitions of everything that means to lead people. uh, so I want to kind of now, talk about that. What are, in your opinion, some of the most pressing challenges for people leaders, and how are some novel ways perhaps you are addressing them today, or have seen people addressing them today?
I can talk about few challenges to begin with. Top three challenges, I would say. And let's start with first, balancing this whole flexibility, expectations from a very very diverse set of people. We have Gen Z, Alpha employees wanting autonomy, meaning, guidance, and there are people who are senior, seasoned people who say, let's go to work and just get straight into the work, and have their alignment to business is very different. And previous generation people used to stay in a company and retire from a company, then move to, okay, three companies. Now we're talking on average 5 to 7 companies in professional career, maybe more, right? But how do you
Right.
ensure that people, while people keep on moving, will come, new people will come, how they are aligned to the purpose from day one and get productive at the earliest, because their journey is only 2.5 3 years. And old style was okay, spend time, give people, support them. By the
True.
second year they start performing, by the third they will be at the peak and they'll start moving up, and then there's a
Hmm.
growth path. It's a little different, right? You want
Yeah,
to
it is. It is
perform.
indeed.
I think that's one big challenge, the whole diverse.
Right.
Yeah. And second is
Hmm.
this whole riding this uncertainty, with agility. I tell you, it's
Hmm.
just, the level of uncertainty in terms of business models, structures, what was working right now
Hmm.
may not be relevant next time, in the next quarter or next
Hmm.
year. From a technology, whatever we
True.
build as part of technology, it's not there, right? And third is scale. With that, how to ensure that while you have accomplished from 0 to 100, now you have to accomplish from 100 to 1000. The leaders have to also shift
Hmm.
the gear. That means what was working for them may not
Hmm.
be enough for their 100 to
Not
1000
at all.
game. So I think these
Hmm.
three are some of the key challenges I feel as a leader
Hmm.
people are
Hmm.
facing. And what we what I think personally, some of the things that we can do, is, I believe at the leadership level, all those trainings and all
Hmm.
that can have a 5% impact. But uh, I personally believe self-awareness is the biggest
Hmm. True.
ammunition.
So true.
You know,
Hmm.
and again, coming back to your psychometric assessments and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
It's what we've done is that anybody who comes in on all of our leadership, um,
Hmm.
all our leaders go through an extensive, self-awareness program, right
Oh,
from
nice.
series of assessments and to the motives,
Hmm.
beliefs, the driver, derailers. Each one of
Hmm.
them go through a coaching program. First
Hmm.
debrief, then coaching, and each one of them build their own IDP program.
Oh,
Because
nice.
we don't need somebody to be told what you have to do, you know.
True. True.
And if we,
Especially in leadership roles.
yeah, right. And then they say, okay, this is what I'm thinking. Out of all the areas that I've just looked at, my profile, my experience, and the coaching session they had, they've identified some areas.
Hmm.
Then we ensure that we do check in. How's going,
Hmm.
what's the conversation. You want to have a conversation on one area, what you think you've moved on. So,
Right.
tracking, progressing, helping them move up the chain. And the people, some of the
Hmm.
leaders coming in, Sachin, I have made this goal, but I'm not able to make any progress. And some of them are
Hmm.
coming with so sense of pride. Sachin, you want to just buzz message and say, see, I've put this item, I've done it. You know, that's the space. We're saying at leadership, we're saying we will help you build your self awareness, we'll help you know the competencies that will help you succeed in your role. And one of the interesting
Hmm.
competencies, while there are a lot of leadership competencies, something that I
Hmm.
love the most, and influencing with authority. While you might be a leader in X, you have to work with so many stakeholders, collaborate,
True. True. True.
and you have to
Hmm.
get things moving without hurting, harming, and ensure relationship. And that's influencing with authority. If you're able to ace that as a competency along with multiple competency, it can go a long way. So I
Hmm.
think one area that we do is, as I told you, self-awareness and all those programs.
Yeah.
We come up with one program, Vikram. This is all reverse mentoring. People have heard of this. Is very
Hmm.
nice thing. Let's try it. And again, the team went for a good 9 months to 12 months exercise to draft this program, and we are into a second series of this, where the
Hmm.
leaders are volunteering to
Hmm.
become knowledge seekers, and we have
Oh,
this Gen
nice.
Zs, you know,
Hmm.
becoming our experts. And I've enrolled myself again in the second series on special request. It was such
Nice.
a powerful program. These young kids came in and say, Sajjan, I will tell you what is psychological safety means for us.
Hmm.
And these guys,
Yeah.
looked at what are the research that had happened in Harvard, and then showed me this report, and then gave me a beautiful presentation, and then said how it related to them. And it was, eye opening for me. And the level of
Hmm.
confidence, the kind of research these guys have done, and the way they have looked at that and helping me
Yeah.
reflect from their context was extraordinary.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think that mentor up program that I was talking about is super success, and just not the program.
Hmm.
It's just creating an opportunity for leaders. In fact, our chief operating officer, head of industry groups, myself, we are part of them as knowledge seekers. So it's not Like for some
Yeah.
junior or some senior people, mid senior, it is for the executive leadership who are part of our BU CEO, as CEO of a business unit is part of that program. You can imagine why they will want to get into this program, because it is just so strong, right? And
Absolutely.
few things, if that's primary thing.
You mentioned psychological safety. Obviously, you're learning it through perhaps the reverse mentoring piece. But in your opinion, are there and having learned that now, that I would probably add, are there any practical ways leaders can build that in teams?
You know what happens, Vikram, um, we have seen leadership from our own experiences of what leaders were in our time, right? So we
Absolutely.
get inspired by that, which is good, but we also get conditioned by that. That is the right way of leadership. Now once you look at differently the Gen Z kind of cohort that we have, their expectation of leadership is very different. So what they're expecting is where it's coming from. A psychological safety is, the first is, how vulnerable is my leader? How, whether the leader himself is a human in front of me? I think that's what I understood was a baseline. And how I
Okay.
word that means, I can tell them, I don't have the answer. I'm also worried. I have not seen in past where you can expect a leader say, I don't know the answer. Wait, I also don't know the answer. I'm also also worried. Let me think through. Let me come back to you. Let's have another discussion in 2 weeks' time. Let me get an answer for this. Let me think through. you know Accepting mistake. If the leader say, hey guys, I understand this was my mistake. I'm vulnerable. I'm sharing my vulnerability. I'm being myself. And as a human being, you're not an expert. You don't know. As I say, first question
True.
was like, do you know everything? No. So you should start with, okay, I don't know. Okay, got it. Huh, I will get you the answer. Wait. Or we'll discuss together. Second is that, I can also make mistakes. And once people start relating to you as as a human, right? Your little bit of your personal life, your bit of fears, your bit of, how you engage yourself, what you don't like about work. This way I don't like. I understand you also don't like some part of your work. Oh, my leaders also doesn't like some part of his work. Okay, got it. When they start relating to leaders as human being, and these days leaders are also young, right? They can also get in
Absolutely.
stress. It's just not only them, junior people, the leaders also getting stressed, and they can share, oh, I'm a little stressed, guys, I need a little time, let's
Right.
catch up in the second half, let me have a tea and come back. Why not sharing that?
Hmm.
Okay, no, I'm going for a meeting. Why you have to bluff and tell people, no, I need my space. Yeah, I will come back, it'll take me 30 minutes and I'll come back.
Interesting.
Once you share as a human, the human side of you, not the leader side of you, people relate to you, and that's what creates that psychological safety. Okay, if I am feeling stressed, I can also tell my boss that I'm feeling stressed, because he also felt stressed some time back. That kind of relation. Do you relate with me, Vikram?
Absolutely, completely. I mean, I do have a follow up on this, and maybe you'll edit this out. But I think we all lived in a world where we looked up to our bosses as knowing what they knew, and perhaps out of that stemmed the aspect of respect, right? And I think, given the fact that today the younger generation or the Gen Zs expect the vulnerability, okay, the not knowing it all piece, do you think then isn't it almost pulling things in the opposite direction, right? Because uh, as maybe perhaps who's leading them, okay, people are looking up to these guys and saying, listen, this is the guy who's going to show me the north star, is all going to go there. Okay, but at the same point, if the leader says, listen, I don't know what the north star is
Yes.
and I'm figuring it out at the same time as you are, don't you that puts, it's like you said, it's almost polarizing in that sense.
So maybe I would have now put it this way, Vikram. Your competency of the leader are your first things. You have to be assertive, confident. You have to find ways, right? Point is that when you are in that space, right, you also be genuine. No, you always
Yeah, yeah, got it.
not be in that, wearing that hat and always need to be like, I'm always having answers for everything. No, there would be time. It's not that
Right.
most of the time you don't have answers. Then you're not a leader. So,
I think that, yeah,
yeah.
then we have a problem.
Any extreme is bad, right? In this role,
Right.
you have to be
Absolutely.
confident. You have to say, this is what you have to make decisions. I think this is like the you have to make decisions with whatever information that you have. All right,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
can only say, okay, let me think 10 minutes. I will take it. If it's really heavy,
Hmm.
something strategic, you may take time, but you have to make a decision. Right?
Absolutely.
So let's not lose the key competencies of the leader. But when you said
Hmm.
psychological safety, it's about, okay, there would be
Hmm.
a time when say, you know, remember I tell you about sharing your own experience. And when I was
Hmm. Yeah.
working in this role, I was under huge stress. You sharing a genuine
Hmm.
story,
Yeah.
and
Hmm. True.
really for those 2 weeks and really stressful, but then we won that account. And I think with that, my job was saved and everyone's in the team job was saved because it was so critical, right? Where you're telling
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
success story, but you're also sharing vulnerability that at that time it was a really stressful moment for you. It's about that
Hmm.
side, Vikram, is what I'm.
And for leaders who are aspiring to be CHROs, marketing heads, CPOs, or maybe similar roles, and who are probably in their progression at the moment, uh, what are some of the qualities and habits you think make that difference between being a manager and being a true people leader?
Oh wow! I think this one I will try to be complete in terms of the areas, and I feel there's some 5 areas that Vikram I think of,
Okay.
which I've seen worked for me, and I've seen working for
Hmm.
many people around. Um,
Hmm.
and if I have to, share that with a larger
Hmm.
audience, somebody want to pick that, and they're really, really happy if there's some value addition that
Hmm.
happens for them. So the first is trust, and it comes for again some of the aspect that, in fact, these 5 points is a reflection of the whole conversation that we did, Vikram.
Yeah.
Start with trust. Your
Okay.
words, your actions, your decision. The
Hmm.
consistency of that matters
Hmm.
more than the
Hmm.
charisma. You might be having amazing charisma, first 3 months, 6 months, rock star, people are behind you, but what about the second year, the third year, the fourth year, right?
Hmm.
I think so that consistency of your words,
Hmm.
action, and decision going together and building that
Hmm.
trust is the first
Hmm.
one.
Okay.
Second,
Trust.
as a leader, reflection
Hmm.
is very important.
Okay.
That's why self-awareness is very important.
Hmm. Hmm.
Regularly stepping back, evaluating, looking at how
Hmm.
things happened, what worked, what didn't work, what are the
Hmm.
different ways of looking at things, how what could have you done
Hmm.
differently. At your
Hmm.
level, you don't have many senior people to go back and check, or who can be your mentors, guide,
Hmm.
at your workspace.
Hmm.
So you have to do that reflection more.
Got it.
Uh, you can always have a coach, and I think as said, as leaders, we get lonelier as you go up.
Hmm.
So
Absolutely.
good to have a coach around, good to have a mentor
Hmm.
you can talk to, and both are very different. So I think that's also will add to your reflection. Third is
Okay.
what I talked about, open to admitting mistakes and learning from them. It's very important that you let the larger team know that it's okay to make mistake once a while.
Hmm.
Learn from these mistakes, what you learn from your mistakes, so that they can learn from their
Hmm.
mistakes and move ahead.
True.
Start the conversation
Hmm.
should be about what is the impact that you're creating, uh,
Hmm.
and that learning helps you in delivering that impact rather than execution of your transaction work, right?
Got it.
um, Next is, leader is team leadership. So empowering your team, help
Hmm.
them own things is very important. You cannot be just helping them finding answers. No,
Hmm.
cannot be giving answers to them every time.
Hmm.
That's not leadership. That's actually manager, and
Hmm.
that's where the major difference between manager says, oh, I don't have time. I'm only solving things. Everybody's coming to me for
Hmm.
problems and for solutions, and I'm helping them. I don't have bandwidth. Why? Because your
Hmm.
team is not scaled. So you have to scale your team. You have to make more
Correct.
leaders. You have to help them own
Correct.
things, help them solve things. So here your leader as a coach comes as a powerful intervention, right?
Got it.
Fifth, the one of the most important, willing to take that risk, That I don't know what that calculative risk, but risk. Sometimes you
Hmm.
just have to take
Hmm.
risk because you have to
Hmm.
make a decision, right? And this
Hmm.
is all information that you have. So willing to
True.
try new initiatives, experimenting,
Hmm.
take that little risk, make some decisions, explore, balance the compliances, the bureaucracy, the process, and the experience. And there's one side which
Hmm.
always say, this you have to do this, and this, but there's something which is
Hmm.
business priority, people priority, something has to happen, and you may have to
Correct.
take a risk. Okay, for this time I'm
Hmm.
taking a call, go ahead with this. I will manage the
Hmm.
compliances, I will manage the challenges, I will manage the bureaucracy, I will look at the approval mechanism. For
Got
this
it.
case, it's on me. I think,
Got it.
okay, when you have to take that call, you have to experiment, try out something,
Hmm.
and take that
Right.
risk. So I think these are the five things I believe
Right.
would definitely
Right.
help accelerate your journey from your managerial role to leadership, and from leadership to the next level of leadership.
So just to quickly summarize, so it's the five things. Uh, First is trust. Second is reflection. Third is learning from mistakes.
Mistakes.
Fourth is team leadership or empowering teams, and fifth is taking risks or your risk taking abilities. Great, fantastic. I think it'd be a good hook for the intro that we put. All right, so I think we've had a really powerful perspective of modern leadership and what it means to lead in HR from you. And I thank you so much for those insights. Before we wrap up, I want to bring out the lighter side of Sachin. Would love to get to know you a little bit more personally. So what I have next coming up for you is a quick rapid fire
Wow.
round. Completely instinctive. You know, no thinking. You just say what comes to your mind.
Okay. Let me try.
All right, so let's start. What's a comfort thing?
I want sweets. I think that's my stress buster. I will go for a walk after that. I'm not a book movie fan and all that. So sweets that drives me, and that has to be Indian sweet. I think that's all I take to move away from a stressful situation. Go back to work.
If you could instantly teleport anywhere right now, where would it be?
I will find myself in a badminton court playing with some of my folks. I think that's something I would want any day.
What's that one superstition or habit that you secretly follow but nobody knows?
Nothing that I can think of. No, I think I would like to have a tea before an important meeting. Just feeling myself, bringing myself to the place. That's primary.
Right.
Nothing major.
Right. I'll give you one that I
Ah,
have, and maybe to the
yeah.
larger audience right now. But every time I'm about to do a podcast, I actually give myself a pep talk
Wow.
while coming on to to the conversation. I'm very natural at obviously having conversations, but it's just that even the easiest of conversations can get difficult, especially if you don't lead it in a right way. So while I'm sitting and just about to begin, I tell myself I can do this, and probably just walk myself through the paces. But yeah, that's one thing that I secretly do. I've done this for the longest time, to be honest. I mean,
Wow.
right from my school days, when I think for the first time I decided that I want to be in a people-facing role, or I love being a narrator. And the only thing I did prove myself was talk to myself, and I actually started talking in mirrors earlier, and now I talk to myself. But yeah, that's a little about me. Dream holiday: mountains, beaches, or city with great food.
I will prefer a beach with great food.
Okay, got it. If all right, talking about I think sweets. What your guilty pleasure dessert?
Jalebi, gulab jamun. As I said, Indians.
Oh, nice. With the rabdi. This is the coin jalebi.
Don't tell me that. I'm feeling I need it right now.
I absolutely love that dish, and I go through these phases now. I can't because I have high triglycerides, but I think there was a time, I think a month back, and we'd gone to meet someone. I don't know, it was at a function, and we had one of those coin jalebi and rabdis. And for that entire month, I think every alternate day, what we did was we went to a local guy and said, "Listen, we want you to give us this," and we just kept on eating. And my wife said, "This has to stop." But I absolutely love that dish.
I know
Great.
people are crazy about
Uh,
cakes and all that, food, fruit, sweets, but I think for me, Indian
yeah, no, hands off, hands off. That's the other one I would do is an anguri
gulab jam.
malai,
Yeah.
ras malai, the
That's
small one.
nice.
No,
Yeah.
anguri ras malai,
Ah,
which we just had yesterday. Okay, I think can go on about forever foodie myself. All right, let's just take it a couple of notches up. What's the funniest reason you've heard someone applying for leave?
some time back, somebody said I'm going for a concert. Like few years back, I was like,
Okay.
Weird. How can somebody take a leave? No, but then I realized now these days Gen Zs, I think that's one of the prominent reason to take leave. So I think I need to change myself. People are going to change their reasons for sure.
I think honesty's come a long way at workplace now.
Seriously,
On
seriously.
a lighter note, all right. What's the most useless piece of talent that you have and you are proud of?
I can finish a book even if I don't like it.
Oh, okay.
It's like, oh, I started it, now I will finish it, now I will finish it. While I do not like it, I don't see its value for me, but somehow I'll just complete and I will make everyone around me really pissed with me while telling them I don't like the book, but I'm still reading it.
I think you have a thing for closures, if I may say, Sachin. My wife tells me the same thing. If I start a thing, I have to finish it no matter how bad it is. But yeah, again, a useless talent I think we both should be proud of. And just one last one before we let you go. And I think you kind of answered it, but we're just going to do it again. If you had to swap jobs with anyone for a day, who would it be?
No, so I said that marketing is my interest, but if I have to swap a job, like just to try
Hmm.
something, it's Uber. I'm so waiting till someday I will take an Uber and drive an Uber, and do a
Right.
night, the whole night. But I'm still not able to figure out how, when, and how we'll do it. But maybe before we catch up next time, I would have already done it. I just
You
like
should. I think it's.
interact with people.
You guys are based out in Bangalore, right? At the
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be fairly easy to do it there, and you could be in hours and hours of traffic.
That's right. I already have a plan that I will do it in the night.
Okay, you
I
do.
will go to
Right.
the airport, maybe a pick up people from airport or a pub or somewhere. Those are the places where it would be lively in the night, and
Right.
that's only us. I don't want to get stuck in traffic. But yeah, just fun.
Fantastic. And one piece of information, FYI, Nikhil here occasionally does Swiggy deliveries
Ah,
just for the fun of it. And I always wondered why he does it, but then now I can just relate you and him saying that I think that's more excitement than the monotony of what we're
yeah,
doing
just the
today.
experience of it, right? And
Absolutely.
maybe someday.
No, but fantastic. I think this was a great conversation, Sachin. That this actually brings us to the end of the episode for Discover Dialogues. Again, thank you so much for being so grounded. At the same time, sharing those insights, which I think a lot of our audiences can ponder on. And I think a lot of the takeaways that I think a lot of takeaways that you've given perhaps will be uh, very essential in a world where now culture, technology, and human connections have all to move together. So thank you once again for so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Any parting thoughts?
Yeah, Vikram, I want to share my gratitude to you and the entire team. Wonderful, engaging with you. You're an amazing host. You made it very, very comfortable, the kind of conversation, the questions, and sharing your side of the stories, experiences really helped me, be myself, and also taking back a lot of things from this conversation. Really, really thank you for inviting me in this.
Thank you so much, Sachin. Do appreciate those kind words. And there's a lot of effort that the team puts in. I think sometimes I always say this to the guests. Is the rest of the team that makes us look good, to be honest. Because I think every experience that we've gone through is also because of the people that we've interacted and shaped with, and this is no different.
Whatever I have accomplished, whatever if I have accomplished something, is primarily the people that I have worked with. My current team, my team in different organizations, my leaders, and family. Always been a great support. I think you're right. It's the people around us make us look good, and you and me share this podcast, but there's the whole army around us who kind of helps enabled both of us to be where we are. Thank you.
All right. So thank you once again.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, or your favorite podcast app. Catch past episodes and more at techdogs.com. See you next time.